Hey, everybody. Let me see if we have any comments. Thank you for being here, everyone. My name is Esme Gregg, and welcome to Soul Talks with Esme. This is our third episode, and I'm just so grateful for those of you that are here live and for those of you that will watch us on the replay. Um, Before I introduce my guest, I want to tell you what Soul Talks is about. This is a show where it's an online show, talk show, where high conscious topics are discussed. It's my favorite thing. And, with the intention to share knowledge and share experiences and journeys and to share positivity. We all need that right now. And so that is the intention of the show. We are live on YouTube at Happy Soul Evolution, and we are live on Esme Gregg, my Facebook page, and also on my page, intuitive intuitive.esmegregg. And of course, Sujan, our guest, will share it on his page. And so let me welcome Sujan Shah for being here. Hi.
Namaste. Hi, how are you?
I am great. I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm great to be here. Thank you so much, Esme.
Thank you. So let me tell people who you are, a little bit about you. Sujan is a mindfulness practitioner and a keynote speaker. Growing up in India, Sujan had been involved in the practice of mindfulness and meditation. He had been speaking and training about mindfulness for about 5 years. Sujan believes that exploring the dimension beyond mind and body is something fundamental to humankind. Everyone is capable of obtaining a higher understanding of the real self in a relationship with the universe. Sujan studies and teaches the path of Advaita Vedanta, I should have
Mhm.
practiced that, based on non dualism, to train groups on mindfulness and make meaning of meditation simple to follow in practice. So he had been practicing mindfulness since his formative years. He routinely delivers many talks on mindfulness subjects for various groups. So, wow, what a bio. We're just so lucky to have you here.
Thank you, Esme. Thank you for such a generous introduction. I feel the energy, I feel the positivity from you, and we're going to have excellent session. Thank.
Yes, I'm just so excited because we've discussed this topic so many times.
Mhm.
And so before we really get in the topic, how to achieve bliss
Mhm.
through mindfulness. And let's talk about, a little bit of background. Tell us about yourself, and then we can share, how we met, and then we can get into the topic. And before we get started, sorry, now I can see the comments saying hi to everybody that's here live. Thank you. We appreciate you sharing the link. Hi, Anisha, Sion, Stacy. Thank you for being here, guys. Sion is saying hi. I think you met him.
Hey, Sion, how are you? I remember we met. That's my introduction, but hi, everyone. Hi, Anisha. Hi, everyone. I'm glad you joined, and I hope you get some value out of this session with interaction and discussion. We are very excited to have this session, which is helpful for us and hopefully for others as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And so, tell us a little bit about your formative years, or do you want to talk about how we met first, and then, or tell us about yourself a little bit?
Absolutely. So I had been uh, studying meditation and mindfulness uh, during my childhood, being born in a home where religion was important, but then when we come home, there was also importance given to ask ourselves a question: who you are, what is your purpose, not to decide what you want to do or anything, but just a general query into ourselves: who we are in terms of the outer world, relationally, going inside and having introspection and those sort of things. So that practice had been there with me, thankfully, thanks to my parents and the society and the monks I met when I was little. I learned a lot. Um, Esme, Cyan, and myself, we met at a very important spiritual gurus event last October, if I'm not wrong, right, Esme?
Correct.
We met at Deepak Chopra's session, and it was very powerful. And we came across these two highly energetic folks that I felt the energy on the spot. We hit it off, and now
Well, we
we
were standing in line together at the
right,
end to
right,
get, oh, I have the book, to get the book signed,
yes,
Meta Human by Deepak Chopra. So
right.
we all got it signed,
Mhm.
and we were able to take a few minutes and say hi and get a picture with him.
Yes,
And so that's how we got to know each other. We were in line like 40 minutes, maybe.
yes. There was a big line I remember, but after meeting him and getting that book signed, that moment we forgot everything, all the tiredness and everything. It was a very powerful moment, and that's when I met Esme and Cyan. And these two folks rebounded some energy, and I felt it. I felt in the moment, and that was very refreshing. And ever since we know each other, and had been exchanging thoughts and ideas. I ask a lot of ideas to Esme, given her background in Reiki and working with Jay Shetty and all his group. She has tremendous knowledge to offer the world and friends. So pretty awesome.
I think one of your friends, Tina Pariani, is saying she was there that night too.
Oh, was she? Hi,
At
Tina.
Unity.
Tina is my
Yes.
friend as well. Thanks for
Awesome.
joining, Tina.
And hi, everybody else that's joining us. So we're just chatting. We're getting started.
Mhm.
And so Sujan and I have known each other for a little bit less than a year, and we, get engaged in discussions, and sometimes, it's like next thing we know, we're talking on the phone for an hour and a half. So, that was cool. And you just said something that really struck me. You said that since you were a child, your parents would guide you
Mhm.
to practice and to question mindfulness and awareness of who are you,
Mhm.
and the introspection practice.
Yes.
I didn't have that. I figured that out later in my late 30s,
Mhm.
and so, wow, amazing. I'm a little jealous in a good way.
Well, thank you, Esme. But there is a little twist in it. Since you had it, I did not appreciate and didn't know the real meaning of it until recently, which I'll share a little later. Where what happened after my personal crisis in 2015, and not to blame anyone, but I take all my responsibilities. But that's when I started utilizing those absolutely important principles that I learned during my formative years. Like it came back to you, the values that you learned while you were a child. I mean, I had all these years, but it came handy, and I started knowing what does it really mean what I learned during childhood.
That's
So
amazing. So what did it feel like, the infamous getting back on a bike, like
yeah,
it took some practice, there was some wobbling.
right. You're absolutely right. So I feel like I'm a little late in the game, but it's never too late. Age is just a number. Something which is beyond mind and body is eternal. It never changes. It never ages, and that's why it is so powerful. And we'll talk about that a little later. Of course, the whole discussion is about that source of energy that we get from the universe, right?
Yes.
And
Awesome.
I see you're excited, and I
I'm
hope.
excited. So we have more people joining. So thank you
Nice.
guys for being here. Martha, my guest from
Yes,
last week,
yes.
she's saying, Sujan, your voice is very grounding and
Oh,
soothing. I agree.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Martha. Like I said, I remember your backdrop was a symbolic of your energy, a symbolic of your personality, and it spoke to me to a very high level. So thank you
Yeah,
for your session last time. It was amazing.
that was awesome. And I just want to say hi to a few more people and then we'll
We'll go
continue.
into it.
Oh, did you share to your page?
I did.
Okay, great. So Martha, Adam, hey guys, and oh, hey Navneeta, and
Namita, thanks for joining.
Maureen, Elizabeth. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you. And if you have any questions, just let me know that it's a question, and we'll ask uh, Sanjay. Not me. Questions for him. And I just called you Sanjay. Why did I do that?
Yeah,
Sujan.
that's all right. People, you were at least
I was pretty close.
people
So
call me Susan, and then in a Starbucks we both wait for Susan, and then I realize that it's mine. The barista and we realize, oh, it's mine. So I'm the Susan, just look different.
I won't call you Susan.
Just to
That's
make a
funny.
lighter conversation. Sorry.
Yes, that's funny. No, that made me laugh because I just realized, like, why did I say that? I'm sorry. I do have a bad habit of like just renaming people.
That's okay.
And so, yeah, guys, if you know me or if you chatted with me, if you met me in person, I just like to laugh. So if we don't laugh and if it's too serious, even if it's a serious topic like mindfulness and the soul and all of this, it's all about fun. So thank you for going with it. Okay, so let's get in the topic.
Mhm.
Um, how to achieve bliss through mindfulness. I know that, that discussion can take weeks.
Mhm.
And so let's just describe or define the words, blissfulness
Mhm.
and mindfulness,
Mhm.
whichever you want. How would you define them?
Absolutely. So, of course, like you said, blissfulness is a very big word, and it means different things to different people. It could be being elated, delightful, ecstatic, spontaneous, not very serious. And if you look carefully, being blissful has only one origin, even it means something different for different folks. And the origin of being blissful is is something which is beyond, and now I'm going to get a little deeper and we'll explain it later, but
Please
just go
do.
with me. So beyond mind and body. And you might ask and wonder, well, Sujan, I heard a lot about going beyond mind and body. What does it really mean? If you had that question before, trust me, you're on a right path. The thing happened with me. Can I share a story?
Of
How I
course.
got into mindfulness,
Yes.
and I started taking seriously what I learned during my childhood.
Yes.
2015, after going through my personal crisis in my life, I started staring empty TV for hours together without knowing how to handle the situation. I'm sure a lot of people can relate. When you go through downturn in your life, you go through some situation, you don't know how to handle the emotions. You start looking for answers. That is there similar story just like mine in the world, right? Is there exactly same book written based on my experience in the world? That's what I started asking. Which book can I read which is identical to my experience? And one night I remember I sat down at 8 p.m. and I started after my dinner, and 4 to 5 hours just went by. I felt I was frozen in one place, and tears started falling through my eyes. And that's when I touched myself and I felt like, wow, I looked at the watch and it was already 4 to 5 hours gone just like that. I, air conditioned, I felt drenching sweat. And I first time felt, after so much of struggle, looking at emotions and thoughts and conflicts in my mind, how I move in my life ahead, that was one moment that I realized the joy and ecstasy. And I felt there is a tremendous gap between the past and then there is a vacuum. And like my friend Esme says, nothingness is everythingness. She made it so easy for me because I was looking for some words, and she and I we believe in this, and that's what I realized. Just a glimpse after 4 to 5 hours of sitting and doing. If you were here and if you just say, Sujan, what's going on? I wouldn't say a single word. So as if I was not here and completely stumped into myself.
Hmm.
But when I realized that moment, when I woke up, I felt the lightness. I saw the clarity of everything in front of me. Doesn't mean I conquered everything that I wanted, but I saw a glimpse of a minute or two that there is a clear demarcation between the past and the emptiness that gave me goosebumps. And I felt like, wow, what is this? So if you have gone through these, similar experience could be when you're under a shower. There's so many sensory inputs that that's when you feel blissful sometime and you have a great idea that you never had before. And that's what happened with you if you had this experience before. It gives you a chance to look at the gap between not living in the past and living in the moment. When I had that experience, I started looking more into mindfulness to get that similar experience with some kind of tool which will help me to move forward. So that's what I call bliss. Bliss is feeling delightful, light, spontaneous, and not from egotistical or the past images, the memories that we have had based on our difficult situations, bad situations, situations where we were absolutely hurt. And that's what I call blissfulness. So, blissfulness is when you release yourself and not operate out of past, is that's when you feel the blissfulness. For me personally, if you could relate yourself with any story, Esme and our audience, you are your body feels open. You're not constricted. You feel like I'm being spontaneous, focused, absolutely energetic at your place, but spontaneous.
That's
And
amazing. If I may, so I think you just answered the question. Tina is asking, what would you call that episode that occurred to you in 2015? Was it blissfulness?
it would be blissfulness, and I would also say it's a self-realization. You know how we talk about we have to realize ourselves first, identify what is the situation, and when you get just like Archimedes, when he invented something, he ran out of like a bathtub without clothes. I didn't do that. But for him it was eureka, eureka. He found something. In Greek, eureka means I found it. I found it. For me, it was that moment that, of course, had a lot of study I had to do. So self-realization, to answer your question, to realize where you stand and to realize where you want to go. Thank you, Tina. Great question. Thank you, Esme.
Amazing.
Mhm.
And so then after that episode, how did you start connecting with your knowledge
Mhm.
of mindfulness that you were given, the tools that
Mhm.
you were given as a child, did you know how to start using them right away, or was that the catalyst?
It was a catalyst. I wouldn't say that I knew exactly how to utilize those, because back then I was a child and there are few things that I wouldn't understand when I was little. Now I started looking for those answers, and this comes to our next topic that you asked: what is mindfulness, right? And I would compare mindfulness and meditation because these two words are often used interchangeably, but they mean different things, though they overlap a little bit. But let's cover that so people do understand what exactly is mindfulness and what is meditation. That's when I started asking myself after that episode, do I go for meditation or what is mindfulness? What tools I use? So, for example, let's take an example that some of us is going for Olympics, right? And they're going to compete in running, like fast running for 100-meter within so many minutes or something. So, in order to have that one day, one performance, we practice in solo ourselves several times, right? 10,000 times, millions of times. And that's what I call meditation. So, meditation is typically introspection when you're at yourself, by yourself, looking at your soul, your energy, and asking important questions and getting ready for that. All the interactions, unlike, um, of course, like Olympics, but Olympics is one occurrence or you have to go multiple times. But with this tool, when we practice in solo, which is meditation, we are going to use it as a mindfulness practice for our day to day interaction with people. So we learn something when we are at ease at home, anywhere. People can meditate anywhere, but then you are bringing that order, the yogic order. Yoga is in union with universe, the order. When we get that order ourselves first with us, and then when we are comfortable with that, then comes the next step of practicing those tools with others. It could be your friends, it could be your colleagues, it could be your um, family, anyone, everyone. So mindfulness can be practiced anywhere and everywhere and anytime. Meditation can be practiced when you're at home or you're by yourself focusing on your inner self. I hope that I really want to make sure that people understood in our audience. And Esme, if you have any question, because this is very important.
So there are a couple of questions,
Sure.
but so the way I understood it, and I believe it was from my coach Jay Shetty,
Mhm.
he um, he explained meditation is the act,
Correct.
the activity
Right.
where you practice. So
Mhm.
basically, what
Mhm.
you're saying.
Yes.
So it's like I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna be still. I'm gonna train. I'm gonna
Right.
practice. So it's the activity, and
Mhm.
then mindfulness is it's almost like the goal,
Yes.
the outcome,
Right.
and eventually, um, I think eventually, you start you're able to practice mindfulness without
Mhm.
having to be in that activity of meditation.
Yes.
Correct? Okay.
Yes. So we can also say the direction of mindfulness starts with meditation or some sort of training to your mind that this is how I'm training myself, which
Hmm.
will be helpful and projection in all the actions when I get out of my house or when I get out of myself and acting with everybody else around me. So that is mindfulness. Thank you. That's great.
Wonderful. And so I have a couple of questions,
Sure.
and they're related to the beginning of your story. So I'll read them both because I
Sure.
think they're related.
Please.
Um, so being asked, could you elaborate on what brought that experience on? You mentioned that it happened at 8 p.m. one day. Were you sitting down to meditate and that's what it
Mhm.
transpired into?
Mhm.
Then
Yep.
the other question is related. So you had that episode of blissfulness and self realization spring up during a time of great suffering. How would you explain that?
Great questions. And you asked me, was it a catalyst to start exploring your new direction? So that's the answer. But let's go a little deeper based on the questions, right? Um, After the event I had, I was shattered. I was confused, conflicted,
So it
didn't
was
know
suffering. It was something that caused you pain
pain,
and suffering, and it
despair,
changed your
pain,
life.
yes, pain, despair, shame, guilt, depression, call everything you want. Conflict, fragmented mind, no clear direction, anger, no clear vision moving forward. So when you have these emotions in front of you, obviously it's taking over our real self. It's taking the toll, the energy we have in us, and that needs utmost attention, right? It's like we not be able to move forward. It's like obstacle.
Hmm.
And I felt that, and I had been asking myself this question: what is the clear path within all these chaotic obstacles, ups and downs? What is that beautiful clear path? You see on the postcard the beautiful greeneries, and then there is a path, there is nobody is walking on it, and there's a sunshine at the end of it. I really wanted to have that one path. And when I started asking myself this question, so this defines what is meditation. So suffering, anger, all these past events, and I am not blaming anyone. I take complete responsibility myself, no matter what. I have no question who was right, who was wrong, none of it. All I'm asking myself question, how I move forward, loving myself, compassionate and empathetic to myself and to others. That's when I started realizing this is a deep state of meditation. I realized later that when you ask yourself this important question, what is it? What are those emotions? And the act of observing all these emotions all together, the wholeness of all these things, those are attacking you, I realized suddenly that there is no chance of winning over. Let me say it again. This is absolutely important. This is meditation. When you close your eyes, your past and your all this history and memory starts coming in front of you, and we think that we can win over. Promise you, we cannot. That's where we churn our energy and end up with same outcomes. And with that event, when I had a self realization that what is going on, I realized that there is a path which let me subdue the energy of all these problems attacking my face. If I watch it long enough, if I let it go long enough, I develop a power which had been given to all of us. I develop an access to that universal order, the power to go above and beyond these all memories, the remembrance, the guilt, the shame, the anger. And that's why that moment was my moment of realization. When the tears rolled through my eyes, I wondered, were they of the same emotions that I had, or were they ecstatic? And this is a telltale sign that we had been operating out of real self and not our ego self, not our memories, not our past. we are moving forward with the real self, which is beyond mind and body, you start feeling ecstatic, you start feeling spontaneous, you start feeling there's a path forward. Though you don't see complete path, you will see a clear path where it will take you to the blissfulness. I
That's
hope I
amazing.
answered that question.
Yes, yes, that's amazing. And I see somebody said that they agree, and um, kind of sounds like a revelation that Eckhart Tolle
Mhm.
had in the midst of great suffering and pain. And I'm sure a lot of us can connect with that. That's how I had in my episode. I was crying, trying to get over a breakup, and I think, well, I am more emotional, so I was crying, crying, crying a lot, and sat down in meditation form, and I'm wailing and crying, why me? Why God?
Right.
Why? But I had been doing that for a while, but this was like the last and final straw. And anyways, um, after a second, I just took a few deep breaths and closed my eyes.
Mhm.
And I just felt like out of nowhere in the middle of my living room, I just felt sunshine
Mhm.
just bathing me and falling through me. And out of nowhere, I just felt love.
Mhm.
And long story short, that was the first time that I actually felt love within me. So I know exactly what day and all of that. And I was red and crying and with snot and, everything. So I went within 10 seconds or 30 seconds, I don't know, from being miserable to just be totally in bliss, just bliss.
Nice.
My face, I was just smiling. And that's for another show, but I have experienced that, but it was more automatic.
Mhm.
Um, and it was, so those experiences where we're in suffering and in pain, unfortunately, we feel that we have to have those painful experiences. I try to tell people, decide and tell the universe that I want to learn without having the painful experience,
Mhm.
so we don't have to go through trauma and deep suffering and pain. What do you think about that? Do you think that we have to have suffering to feel this change in our lives?
Well, I don't think we have to have suffering, but I also don't think that. So we have to understand before I answer this question, anybody who is under the sun, who is feeling gravitation, there is no such a thing as no suffering. I don't think personally, I feel that there are two types of folks. That one, if you have a suffering, they have developed a really good mechanism to cope up with that suffering. And then they come across that, wow, you're doing really good seeing what you have gone through. And those people, and there are variables with very less suffering to greatest amount of suffering. But again, it's very relative because every person have a different suffering. That if your coffee is not served on time, they might make that suffering like, my God, I almost died. So it's very relative to quantify the suffering. But like I said, as long as we're under the sun and we feel the gravitational force, there is a suffering, there will be resistance, there is a conflict. The moment I say I am Sujan Shah, I am saying you are not Sujan Shah. So there is a fragmentation already. I'm saying we are different. The moment I say I am from India, I am also saying you are not from India. So there is no intentional fragmentation, but the fragmentation happens like this. When we decide anything, we name something ourselves, And that's where we attach ourselves to mind and body, identify yourself, and that almost invariably comes with conflict, pain, guilt, shame, and suffering. Not all at once, not at highest level, could be small, could be big. So I would say, more importantly, how you treat the suffering is the most important question, right? When you bounce to the, when you're when you're thrown on the floor, how you bounce back is absolutely important. With what intensity you fell, or with what situation and who was wrong you fell. Listen carefully. This is very important. When you fell on the floor, we have to accept we did, regardless how we did. This is absolutely important because people spend days, hours, years, months, weeks blaming themselves and others, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is the biggest thing. What I wanted to realize, that what happened with me is my doing. And when I say it's my doing, that comes with a tremendous power, no matter who did what to you. So that is rather the most important question, how we deal that bounce back without any attached past. The bouncing back will be easier and lighter. Your mass fell off. The weight you're carrying just fell off. So when you bounce, you're bouncing like a free bird and saying, you know what? I do not care. I do not worry about who cost me what, on daily basis as well, not just one fall. Every moment we own ourselves, our actions, since emotions always go from inside out. The pain, the suffering is not outside on the trees or in the air. Triggers are, but all the sensations, the feelings are mind and body. So when we do not attach ourselves with those mind and body, we are going beyond it and saying, even if the suffering came, I learned to go above and beyond and say, I am trained myself to watch this, observe, and gain more power and empowerment to win any situations. So that's a very big topic, but just wanted to give you a gist of mind and body.
And that kind of bridges us to the mindfulness
Yes.
part, because the mindfulness is the awareness,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
And so having this awareness of, from the beginning of, taking responsibility for your
Mhm.
actions,
Mhm.
even if, let's say, in a breakup,
Mhm.
um, like the other person did the breaking up,
Mhm.
and so I'm the victim.
Mhm.
And but if we recognize ourselves as the victim, then we're not taking responsibility. The responsibility can be as plain and simple as, I chose to be with this person,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
I chose to
Thank
stay
you.
this long. So it's like you have to look at the choices,
Wow.
not like he, in my case, for example, like if
Mhm.
somebody breaks up with me, you
Mhm.
know, so that was me for a long time, for example. I'll be very honest. And so finally, when that event happened to me, it was just like, oh, I can love myself, and
Mhm.
it's okay if somebody leaves. Goodbye, good riddance. I still, I send you out with love. Not happily, maybe.
Right.
I can still have pain and suffering and,
Right.
miss that person. But it's not this traumatic experience where I'm feeling like I've lost control of my life or whatever. And so that mindfulness gets us out of that victim mentality into a more aware being.
Mhm.
And so tell us more about the mindfulness part.
Absolutely. So the current example, what you shared, you nailed it, because often it is important the one who is suffering and sharing with us, and it's with a good heart. We want to listen, of course. It's very tough to let them know that no matter what happened, there were two people or people involved, and saying that I was completely in the box and the other person was at mistake 100% of the time, except exceptional cases, of course, where there is a legal criminality involved and all, where you don't even have a chance to take a decision and action. Every second of our life, you have a choice. You had a choice. You absolutely did. So even if we are saying the other person was at 100% at risk, I promise you that we are living in the past. I promise you that we are not taking the responsibility for who we are. I have done it. I promise you that we are denying our own existence and the flow of emotions which comes from inside out. The strongest action of taking decision and having choice is always inside out, not outside in. He did that to me. She did that to me. Partly, you did that to yourself as well.
Right.
It's with,
We accepted that behavior.
yes,
Mhm.
it's with my pain heart that I'm saying this, because I know many friends of mine, and I see them did not have any issues, had gone through a lot of painful events. But I focus on moving forward. We focus on living in the moment. And that's why, even if they don't like me, even if they say it's not right, it's my honest duty to let them know that when you realize, when you start owning yourself 100%, it's way more powerful than just saying it was others' fault 100%. That's all. So that's the core of mindfulness. It's where we come when we go above and beyond the mind and body. Mind and body is always a construct of ego. And what is ego? Ego is always a construct of invariably our past, our memories, our remembrance. And if we do not realize we are acting out of it, we are creating same reality again and again and again.
And to me, from the point, I always talk about energy. So,
Mhm,
thoughts are energy, words are energy. And so, in those lower emotions or
mhm,
high emotions,
mhm,
feelings, and thoughts
mhm,
that are, if you're in suffering, I think it's okay to give
mhm,
yourself time to grieve and suffer and just really feel the pain of whatever it is, a loss, a death of somebody, a loss through a breakup, even a loss of a job,
mhm,
whatever big change has happened that has caused you suffering. I, I, I mean, I'm living proof, and I think most of us can agree that it's good to actually feel that and go through it and let those emotions flow and sit with them. It
yes.
may take a few days, it may take a couple of weeks, or a couple of months,
Right.
but it's good to let those feelings to flow through you, and then with time, it's like you almost, like, every day as you wake up, it's like you'll notice that the sun is shining a little brighter.
Mhm,
You may notice that the birds were chirping. It's like you didn't even realize it was spring, because there was a fog around you, so I felt like winter.
mhm,
And so slowly but surely, it's like the fog is removed and you can see the brightness in life. You can feel the joy from within, the joy in life. And with that comes that energy. You're sharing that energy. Now you're going from, oh, I'm down, I'm sad, it's okay. But then, and it kind of pushes people away,
Hmm.
understandably. Really, only close friends can really kind of stay next to you and put up with that low vibe energy. But even some just don't know how to handle that. And so
Right.
it's really up to us. We have to do it on our own, just like you were talking about.
Hmm.
And with time, uplift that. And it can be by listening to uplifting information, read, meditate, or even just sleep. If anything else, just sleep.
Right. Right.
Kind of like a reset. And so, anyways, what I'm trying to say is uplifting, and then we give off that vibe,
Hmm.
like I think like I'm feeling uplifted with this conversation, right?
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
hope that the people that are listening now and in the replay feel that that the topic is hopeful, it's filled with love, it's even though we're talking about some sadness and suffering, it's like there's hope, there's compassion
Hmm.
for self. And so we give off that energy, and so what do we attract?
Hmm.
We attract the same.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
And I
Thank-
think that's a powerful thing in mindfulness, right?
Yes,
What we're
absolutely.
putting out is what we're receiving.
Mhm. And a couple things about energy. I'm glad you brought up the energy because everything is energy, right? We work in terms of energy. So if you are, imagine you're a mayor of a city, and there are two situations. One, A, there is a festivity going on somewhere. There's a festival, right? Like Diwali or um, Christmas or some sort of things going on, which is happy go merry. And then there is the B situation where there's a riots and there's a civil unrest. So as a mayor, which one will call you for more energy, more demand, right? I'm not trying to get into the politics. I'm just saying when there is a negativity in the city that consumes a lot of energy, that consumes a lot of attention. In the same way, in our mind, when we are not in order with the universe, the yoga, being spontaneous, being open, we are spending our energy for all those negative things that we have had from past, that is consuming your larger pie, the slice of the pie from your entire energy produced in your body. That's why it's critical, which is blocking you down, to release it. And how you release it? By observation. And how do you observe? We have to have an absolute clear mind to observe without any attachment, right? I know they seem like big words, but the power of observing diminishes the power of energy creating negative part in your mind, and then it let it go and release, and then you win. We all have it. it it's not available anywhere. It's inside us. So when you're alone, you're afraid of being alone. Don't be afraid. Not suggesting you be alone, but when you're alone, you are actually with yourself, which is the most powerful thing one could experience.
Yes, I'm so glad you brought that up, and we've discussed this.
Right.
And okay, we have about 10 minutes,
Sure.
but we can go a little bit over.
Yes.
So hold that thought. I'm seeing comments that people are agreeing,
Mhm.
um, agreeing that
Any questions?
I don't see questions. If you guys have any questions, just write them here with the word question or Q in front of it. People are, somebody was saying, thanks for sharing your stories. And yes, awesome. Well, thank you guys. I'm so glad you're enjoying this. So,
Thank you.
okay, I'm so excited about this. So I don't want to lose the train of thought here. So the go ahead and repeat what you just said because it was perfect.
So we were talking about the energy, and with the energy, we feel like we are alone. And when we spend a lot of time with ourselves, we have developed habit. Brain wants support. Brain wants to feel, the mind wants to feel secure. In the past we have collected is giving us a false sense of security. And when we try to replace or let it go, we feel lonely. And being lonely is the actual process of being with oneself. You might feel otherwise. You might feel, man, I'm scared. I want somebody. I want Facebook. I want to watch movie.
Or
I
I'm
want,
bored.
I'm bored, and I want to jump on something else that I shouldn't have been doing.
So why is that? So why are we seeking a distraction?
Distraction is nothing but dependency. Mind wants to be occupied with something all the time. It's just the nature. It's the fact of the mind, the brain, right? Always want to be occupied. It never stops working. And the transition from the past to the current is letting go of the past. And that comes with the vulnerability of letting go of something we were clinging for many, many years. Just like if you had to let go of your pet, you will be very sad. You will feel vulnerable. You will feel insecure and sad and all these kind of things. In the same way, what we had been collecting for years since our childhood, which is past, which is psychology collected, it's giving us a dependency and a false sense of security. When you and I try to let people know, let that go, the first question they will experience is, oh my God, it's scary,
Mm-hmm.
because that had been providing them a false sense of security. There is a gap, there is a vulnerability in this gap. But this is where we are creating the space for new reality. Have you heard the expression by Dr. Sanjay Gupta that if you want to achieve something, feel vulnerable like you are jumping out of airplane without parachute? Brene Brown has made her career on one word: vulnerability. And if you ask yourself what is vulnerability, vulnerability is being with oneself. Watching your thoughts and emotions makes you more scary,
Mm-hmm.
but what's underplaying with that is a development of new you, new reality. That's where we want to focus on. Stay there, have a courage, face it, don't run or don't run at it or don't run away. Stand still, observe, and a day will come you will have more energy to subdue the energy of negativity. And then when the past is gone, or the if you let go the past, you're not attaching similar things based on the past. And that's the law of attraction, they say.
Mm-hmm.
When you have this clear new completely empty beginning, like you said, Esme, nothingness is everythingness. You are attracting something beautiful, not based on your past because you let it go, and now you have created something new. Now you will have a newness, nothingness, new reality, new hopes, spontaneity, delightfulness, joyfulness, all these things we talked about, which comes from beyond mind and body. I hope all that makes sense. I know I.
Yes, no, it completely makes sense. And we have some comments here. Let me see. Um, Somebody wrote, I do believe that what you say, you become. So if you throw negative energy towards yourself and
Mhm,
start stimulating your ego unknowingly, you
mhm.
would not come out of your situation. That was from Namita, your friend.
Yes. Thank
And
you,
thank
Navita.
you for being here. Yeah, do you have anything to say about that?
She is right on the ball because she and I we speak a lot about this, and I appreciate she brought that up because remember the example I shared when you're a mayor of the city, more riots and inflammation in your city, more it's going to demand our energy, right? So if you have 100 policemen, if your 80 policemen in your mind have gone to take care of that negativity, there are only 20 left to look after you and create your new reality. Why don't we reverse it? We say, let go of that negativity, observe, watch, and put those 80 cops behind something nice to develop yourself. And this might sound political, not at all. Just giving you an example to have energy behind the right you without past, the right you with new nothingness, right you for your new reality. So
So the right you would be like your true self.
your true self. Absolutely. Yep.
And it takes time to figure out who your true self. It comes through meditation and
And
awareness and
yeah,
mindfulness and questioning our perception. I think that's a whole nother show.
I agree.
We do have, I think, two more questions.
Sure.
So my friend Navnita is saying, my challenge is maintaining my level of energy
Mhm.
around energies that deplete me. I feel I'm very sensitive to people's energy. I feel exhausted trying to protect my energy all the time.
Mhm.
How does one keep their energy level up in that situation?
Fantastic question. Like I said, going back to similar situation where we are clinging on to something from past, we have to realize that when we say I take my part of responsibility because of what happened in the past and I own it, and that owning will make give you tremendous energy. When we are fighting that thought that it wasn't me and somebody else, you're not able to own the home you always wanted to buy. It's somebody bought it. It's like that. So when we own it, then ourselves, our real self, then we will be able to see clearly. Until then, we're still living in the past. Until then, we're not accepting who we really are. Understanding who we really are is the major step towards all these emotions that we see, we observe every day in and out. And so the answer is same that everything is gone. We cannot name the unborn child. There is no social security given. I cannot talk to my dead grandfather. I cannot waste my energy in neither. Me, it's me, who I am, is the only one who is there, like Eckhart Tolle said. Now and here is the only energy and accessibility and opportunity you have. If we are carrying a lot of things from the past, we are spending energy in a wrong place. And to begin, the first step is to accept that I had a choice. I did not make that choice without absolutely forgetting what other did, not blaming other person at all, saying I had a choice, not to blame yourself, to tell yourself I had a choice. I'm glad now I'm free. And now I'm going to create my new reality. Owning yourself is the first step towards any other things that we want to achieve. Thank you. Great question.
Thank you. And I would like to add to that because she's asking, how do I protect my energy and keep
Mhm.
their, I guess, keep your own energy level up in the situation where you just feel exhausted protecting yourself. And
Mhm.
from the energy point, the experience that I have is like, it's a I have a timer, a reminder that, every hour I check in, how am I feeling? And if I'm feeling low, or if I'm feeling sad or afraid, I ask myself, where is this from? Is this mine? Why am I feeling this? I check in, and then I just do an energy flush, which is equivalent to taking a shower, but it's just an imaginary shower where it's just energy is just flowing from above and from below, and it's just flowing up and down through me and all around me,
Mhm.
basically like as if I'm standing in a column of light. Um,
Mhm.
and if that feels weird to you, you can just think of just taking deep breaths and just thinking of fresh air coming in. And as you breathe out, you're breathing out the heaviness and the worries. And so because I think naturally we don't take deep breaths, right? We take very shallow breaths. So when we're very conscious of our breathing, especially if we take very deep breaths, where it's almost like a recharging exercise. And so that helps us uplift our energies, and also, we're in control of how we feel. If we
Mhm.
let others control how we feel,
Mhm.
um, you know, they're controlling you, and it's up to you how you feel.
It also, and that's a great explanation. I'm going to practice that for myself. Sometime I get that situation. But also, Esme, we have to be absolutely clear without any attachment with what goal I have and if that goal is feasible. And if we're not on target for some goal which is not happening, then that can bring you down as well. So having a goal which is allowing us to achieve to go to an extent, but if it is not, then let it go and wait for the right opportunity. It's at the depth of spending energy on something. And if we have a goal, something about if I want to achieve something, and if I'm not able to achieve, I think for me it's time to reconfigure, rebrand, re- introspect, and let go of my
Expectation.
right of looking at it, the perspective, because that's at the base of everything. There is a decision
Mhm.
that we want to follow something, and before even we think about spending energy, what energy we want to spend and how much feasible it is, what priorities are important in our life, which one comes first, our survival, second, our living, clothes, breathing air, not having COVID. So when we are thankful about these, and if we have these basic things, then added things comes, then goals comes, and then we know where to spend more energy compared to not other. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I like that. Just yesterday, I was talking to a friend about setting the intention. So,
Mhm. Yes.
like before having a phone call, and
Mhm.
we were messaging, and I said, okay, let's set the intention for a phone call.
Mhm.
What are we going to talk about? Because I had some other things to do, and we ended up talking a little bit longer, which was fine.
Mhm.
But setting the intention either with a friend before spending time together,
Mhm.
whether it's just catching up, it's like, okay, and then an internal intention, like, okay, I'm going to try not to gossip, complain or whatever, to make it a
Or people.
happy,
Right.
yeah, a powerful, conscious discussion type of thing. And
Right.
so intention in everything is something that I learned from Jay's
Mhm.
from the Genius coaching. That was the main thing from the beginning of the coaching program. It was very clear to me that that's how he lives his life. It's all about intention. What we eat, how we breathe, how we dress,
Mhm.
spend our time, the people that we spend our time with,
Mhm.
words that we say. I mean, every single thing, even our breathing,
Mhm.
can be intentional. And
Yes.
all of that is part of mindfulness, right? Being
Yes.
mindful and aware of the intention of everything that we do and say.
Very much so. Absolutely. And breathing is important. On top of all these that we talked about, uh, you might, our audience might be wondering, how do I achieve all these? And there is also one place that get our focus onto now and here is, of course, pranayam. Pranayam is based on Eastern wisdom methodology, and in India and Buddhism and so many other Eastern and so many a lot of trainings, they focus on breathing, and breathing helps you to clarify our thoughts, make it focus, also have a better way of spending our energy, which is achievable, smart goal, based on our priority. So mindfulness is not just deciding one thing and going behind it. No, before even we decided, mindfulness is what things are necessary in my life right now. What am I ready for? What am I thankful for? And then we decide the rest of the energy where I want to spend. So even setting up intentions, like you said, and Jay Shetty, that if we don't put that intentions before we decide to put energy on something that I want this car, no matter what, I want to have it, I'm setting myself for failure. Car is not important for me. Living is. Not having infection is. Having job is. So this is simple example of without how we attach ourselves with the goals, put energy behind it, being mindful of priority, and then let it go, the things those are causing you burn, and being mindful absolutely at the base of all the decisions we are making is mindfulness, and then moving forward with a clear goal, achievable goal.
Perfect. That's great. And so mindfulness is not only good if you're a spiritual person, it's also a great practice, for work, for business.
Everything.
You do a lot of speaking engagements for
Mhm.
corporations and things like that. And we have some comments and questions. And thank you, everybody. We have everybody still, they're sticking around.
Thank you.
So we got a couple of thank yous for answering questions. Thank you. And then let me see. There was something. Oh yes, Stacy. I didn't ask your question because I saw that he answered it. So awesome. You answered, and with by answering somebody else's question, you answered
Oh,
Stacy's question. So thank you for asking questions. And we have this cool question. Let me see from Bushra. Hey Bushra. It says there's constant imbalance
mhm,
of negative and positive energy in the body and mind.
mhm.
What happens to your core with this constant war? Does it deteriorate or rebuild itself? Can a person rebound from hitting the rock bottom with no energy? And I think we talked about the rebounding a little bit, but what if you're like really low, just at your worst? And how does it work with that constant war of positive and negative energies?
Mhm. Absolutely. So, Bushra, thanks for this question. Thanks for joining us. Excellent question. We deal with this every day. And so, what you say core is your real self. And what you say other things such as energy is attaching ourselves. So, imbalance between these two energies is a game of mind. Let's be clear with that one thing first, right?
Mhm.
When you understand this, the body is a projection of mind. Okay, that's number two. Be absolutely clear with these two things. One, mind has all these games of creating thoughts in front of you. Two, body is nothing. What I mean projection is body is nothing without mind. We are so tall, we are so this and so that. This is always a projection of mind. So now three, what coming to your question, whatever thoughts, emotions, or imbalancing these things, it's coming from mind to the body. Right? Now, when we hit the rock bottom, everything is shattered. You know which place we are close to? Mind, body, and the real self, where the mind and the body is creating chaotic experience in front of you, but you also have a chance where you start new and let go, meaning you do not attach yourself with the mind, the games of the mind and the body. When we identify ourselves with all these negative emotions, thoughts, that that's me,
Mm-hmm.
that's when everything gets imbalanced. That's where we flow with it. That's where we are lost our cool. That's where we lost our intention, like is Esme and Jay said. That's where we are far away from real self. And to get back to the real self, to the balance, the homeostasis, the order. Yoga is order. The universe is in order. Our goal by yoga or meditation is to be in order with universe. Then this balance comes in place. That's why observe those thoughts, observe those emotions, let go, wait until they die down, and then you will win. You will have empowerment. You will have more energy to let go of those things, and you will win. And I hope, and you will achieve the balance. I hope this helps.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful. And I have a book right here,
Mhm.
but I love your answer.
Thank you.
And I agree. And just in case anybody wants to go deeper in that, I don't know if you've heard of this book.
That's it. Untethered soul. That's the one I was trying to get, Esme.
Oh,
The one
okay.
I told you.
So
That's
this happens to be. So I was going to ask you about one of your favorite books.
this is my favorite book.
And before we started, before we went live, you said, "Oh, I don't have it with me, and I don't remember the author." So I didn't even ask which book is it. So that's funny.
So speak.
Serendipity.
Right.
So Bushra and anybody else that wants to learn more about how our thoughts are causing us pain,
Mhm.
basically, and it's like this old programming. So this book by Michael Singer,
Mhm.
The Untethered Soul,
Mhm.
is the journey beyond yourself. Please get this, read it. It's not very heavy reading and it's not very big, but I promise you, you read a couple of pages and things will start stirring up. And awesome. So, and thank you so much for answering that question. Bushra is saying thank you. Um,
So can I share something with the?
please, and somebody asked before I forget, can
Sure.
negative energy help letting go? That's from JK.
What is the question?
Can negative energy help letting go? So,
Well,
so I think it's can it help with letting go negative energy?
I would say, Jay, a great question. What you're saying is, can it come back as a retrograde, help us to realize, just like Esme asked the same question in a different way, that do we have to have a bad experience in our life to go forward? So when you have this kind of experience, the negative energy makes us uncomfortable, vulnerable. That's when we start asking ourselves question, what is in the world is happening with me, right? And I think that's a great state to be in, provided, clause, provided you know how to bounce back. Otherwise, it's not great.
Or
Because if we,
longer?
yes, if we go downward, then no good. But then you're equipped to bounce back. Then, of course, in a retrograde manner, that energy will make you ask these questions to yourself, that why this is happening to me, like why me. I another day I had a session with Jennifer Hill, who does a lot of Deepak Chopra interviews 3 days back. So why me is the first question we start with when we are almost there, but we are not owning our all ourselves. That's where it starts, and then we know that there's something going on. There is a chaotic stuff going on. There is a negative energy. But then when you overcome, you have a great answer for yourself to bounce back. So to answer that question, yes, it's a great energy to bounce back, provided we know how to overcome and bounce back to your new reality.
That's
Thank you.
amazing. And that's true. But I still believe deep down inside that we don't have to go
You
through
have right.
a deep, through pain to
Mhm.
learn. And I think
Bad energy.
if we decide that, eventually, maybe that'll happen. The universe will be like, okay, you've gone through enough. Here's some
Okay.
things that you can learn. And so closing our discussion, I just wanted to say, and maybe you can add more. Um, I think because we're all in different levels in our journey, right? In where we're learning and ready to accept new information and things like that. So whatever level I believe that people are in, I think the best step, if you're not already practicing meditation, um, there's a lot of tools out there. I see a disc here, but my first meditation practice started with Deepak and Oprah,
Mhm.
those free 21-day meditations. I mean, I just happened to buy one of their CDs. So that was a great intro for me, like 15 years ago when I did not know what meditation was. And
Mhm.
so would you agree with that, that that's just maybe the first best way to get started to eventually start practicing mindfulness in a daily life?
Absolutely. It's That's a good source to go because I started with Deepak Chopra, Sadhguru. There are several free and some other not very expensive. There is a 21 days meditation with Deepak Chopra.
Right.
It's
This is
available
what
free.
I'm talking about. And like once or twice a year, they'll do a free one.
Right. And all you have to know is what to do when meditate, what not to do when meditation happens. So once you get that explanation, it's good enough for you to carry on your own and practice it. And I do mindfulness sessions, meditation sessions, go live once in a while on Facebook as well, where we all sit together virtually and I do guided meditation to let go of the past and all those kind of things, which is very helpful as well.
Amazing. And so we've gone 20 minutes or 18 minutes.
I suppose it's a good sign. I think people are engaged. This is
Yes,
beautiful.
yes. Thank you guys for your questions and for being here. And I appreciate you. And we're getting thank yous for answering questions. So,
Thank you.
um,
Thank you.
and please let everybody know how they can contact you. I didn't create the slide. So can you let them know how they can find you?
Absolutely. So I'm on Facebook. Um, so if you do at Sujan Speaks is my handle on Facebook. Sujan Speaks, Sujan underscore Speaks is on Instagram, and Sujan Speaks. I have my own channel on YouTube that I have posted several videos about emotions, personal transformation, what is bad ego, good ego. I mean, several of them. And you can also write me at sujanspeaks.com. That's my direct email. Thank you, Esme.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Amazing. Well, somebody doesn't want us to stop. So thank you. Thank you, Stacy. You're very sweet.
Thank you.
We'll probably, I'm sure we can find another time that we can do another talk again. Is
Yes.
there anything else that maybe we didn't discuss today about, how to achieve blissfulness through mindfulness? Is there anything that you want to leave us with as we start closing up?
No, absolutely. I just wanted to thank you, Ismay. Number one, that you had been a great mentor and had been helping me indirectly with so much of energy and creating this. This is going to help a lot of folks who are going through similar as we went through. Um, there is a lot of festivities, but then there is a lot of help that needed in population and communities, and you're doing a great job. So thanks to Soul Talks with Esme uh,
Thank
and,
you.
and having me here. And number two, what I made mistake in my life, or I wouldn't say that opportunity I missed in my life, I would say, is to starting with me, meaning owning all the things happened with me so far, no matter what. Trust me, it's very empowering realization, because if you want to, when you see that you want to do, you have a new reality, this is the first step. And if we don't let go of the past, you're carrying the past. Even if you let go of the people, that means you're paying rent in your own home. So if anything we learned from this session is this thing: start not blaming yourself. No self-negative talk, no self-guilt. No, that's not what we're talking about. We are saying accept your imperfections, say this is who I am, observe it, move forward, let your emotions flow from inside out. You will see world absolutely differently. What I felt 8 p.m. to 2 a.m., you will have it, and you will have a new reality. Thank you.
Amazing. And people are saying beautiful things.
Thank
They're saying, please do come back. Need more validations from you. Thank you, Navneeta. Navneeta is saying thank you. Bushra, oh, very sweet. Thank you, Bushra. Navneeta is also saying, I feel so much lighter after tuning into the Soul Talk.
thank you.
And thank you, Martha. She's sending love and blessings to us.
Thank you, Martha. Appreciate it.
So that's it. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here, and thank you, Sujan,
Thank
for
you.
being a lovely guest
Mhm.
and um, just having this amazing soul talk, soul to soul, soul to soul.
Yes. Yes.
And please tell your daughter thank you. She was very patient,
Absolutely.
close by, letting you.
Have this moment with you. Yes.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing.
Yes.
And so, with that being said, thank you, Sujan. We appreciate you. And thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining another episode of So Talks with Esme. We have another guest next Sunday. I'm excited, but it's a secret. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Namaste, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Esme.
Thank you.